sets up an awkward situation in the future, which is the topic of discussion today, which is called quitting carnivore. At one point, you're going to have to print some type of redaction on your book and say, nope, I actually quit. I'm eating all a bunch of fruits and vegetables and 500 grams of carbohydrates a day, and you're going to have to try to fit that into the book you've already written.
Yeah, I'm going to do a vegan cookbook next. Yeah, so many people are making changes lately, and it's wild. People are going like from the other end of the pendulum. Like they're going from carnivore to high carb, low fat, and my head's been spinning. And I tried to dabble with adding carbs because I'm like, oh, everyone else is. My sugar addicted brain was like, yes, let's try that, knowing damn well I've already tried to eat everything in moderation. And so, yeah, I've been spiraling lately because I've let all these other opinions get in my head and it's just not been serving me well at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. And it's interesting to kind of hear what we're hearing from the community. And it's not everybody. I love how, you and Sarah Franklin did an episode on this. And I thought you guys approached this topic in a really respectful way, in a great way that helped give me some insight into some of these things. But really, it's like we see a headline that says, everybody's quitting carnivore. My journey away from carnivore, and it's coming from influencers. Some of them who have been in the space for a few years, other people who have been in the space for over a decade or almost 2 decades, like a very, very long time. And we need to, I don't know how to like ride this line, but we need to acknowledge that everybody has a different journey, and we have different things that serve us for a time, and then not, and then we need to be honest about things to a certain extent, but also like these people are sending a message out to other people who have been following them for a really long time, and people like you've written a book on carnivore, and it still makes you like a little bit confused, and you're a little bit spinning and wondering about some of these things. So yeah, I just wanted to set that up by saying, like, some people in our community are coming out, and it's kind of that clickbait type of a headline that says quitting carnivore. I'm going to open the discussion with you in the same way that you asked Sarah. Is everybody quitting carnivore?
I know. And I feel like I got a lot of slack on like that title. And to me, like I'm not a clickbaity person. You can tell by my lack of views. Like I'm not I'm not creating clickbait to get views. In my It's just how I felt at the time. It To me, it felt like everyone's quitting carnivore. And of course, everybody is not. But there was like a handful of people I looked up to and trusted their opinion that were quitting carnivore. And to me, it just felt very loud and it felt like everyone's quitting when in actuality, it's not everybody. But yeah, I mean, there's, a good handful of people that have been in this space a long time that are now adding carbs in. And it's made my head spin. But what's so interesting is I feel like if we would have had this conversation a different day or even a couple hours ago, it would be a totally different conversation because I just interviewed Steven from the UK Carnivore. I just had him on my channel and he's explaining like different lab markers and where he thinks they're interpreting the data wrong and why they're adding in carbs. And it made me feel better, honestly. Like hearing his thoughts, I'm like, okay, because, here I am, tried to add carbs back in. It's not doing well, trying to get back on carnivore. But I have doubts because of the other people that are saying we shouldn't be carnivore anymore. So that's been in my head. Okay, like I need to get back on track, but what's back on track if all these experts are saying we shouldn't be carnivore long term? And so just hearing his thoughts on analyzing the blood work and like they're looking at A1C and glucose and all that, and he kind of explained it on how it's actually working and why our body is doing what it's doing and why the numbers are that way and how like the lab ranges aren't for us. It's for like the standard American diet people. So he put some things into perspective where I'm like, okay, that actually makes me feel more confident on carnivore that maybe I'm not messing things up by eating this way. Because I mean, and we're our own experiment too. Like I tried adding carbs, it's not going well. I'm up 20 pounds. I don't feel good about myself. My mental health isn't amazing, but that sugar monster had a hold on me, and people's thoughts and opinions had also got in the way too. So there's just a lot of noise out there, you know?
Wow. Wow. That's very interesting. I think you look amazing. I didn't know about like the weight gain and the sugar monster, any of that kind of stuff, but that is very real, for sure. and Stephen would be the perfect person to listen to when it comes to blood labs. He wrote that book about it last year. He's very scientifically minded as well and can get deep into the weeds there. So we'll be able to link him in the show notes if somebody wants to go a little bit deeper, surely, than we're going to go in this conversation. But that is interesting. And as part of that, let's go back and kind of hear your, how long you've been carnivore, why you decided to go carnivore, what benefits you noticed, and yeah, when did the doubts start to kind of creep in for you?
Yeah, so I've been carnivore 3 years in May, and I didn't expect to get all the health benefits out of it that I did. I went into it just hoping to lose weight, and, a month in, I'm like, "Wow, my mental health is better." Like, "Oh, my skin's clearing up." I had, horrible acne forever. So that was amazing, and I just felt better overall. And first 2 years, like, were easy. Like, I was never tempted by fruit that my kids had or anything. And after the 2-year mark, I feel like it got a little, I don't know if it's self-sabotage or you kind of just like relax a bit, like, "Oh, I lost all this weight. I have these health benefits. Oh, let me just have a bite of this, a bite of that." And for me, that's a slippery slope. And then I would say where the noise got really loud was, I guess, around July, June. I don't know, whenever like the sugar diet became really popular. And I had people coming to me that were carnivore and they're like, "I tried this. I feel amazing. I lost weight." So I'm like, "Okay, like, I guess I'm going to give it a shot." So I tried it for 2 days, and it I did lose a couple pounds, but after that, that's what I just spiraled from there. Cause in my head, I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm going to have, let me add some carbs back in. Let's just like go to sushi." And it's just, and even during this whole time of gaining 20 pounds, it wasn't like I was out there eating pizza and cookies. Like, I was having fruit. I was having some rice, maybe some of the masa chips I get my kids. Like, it's stuff that I had in the house for my kids, and my kids, I think, eat pretty well, pretty healthy. So it wasn't even like I was eating all this junk food. But that one little like taste, I don't know. It's just been wild. So yeah, ever since then, that damn sugar diet like totally screwed me up. And I haven't been able to get back on track for more than a week since that.
Wow, that's crazy. So how do you define a carnivore diet? I feel like this is like semantic a little bit, and I like to use the hyper carnivore definition whenever I'm talking about carnivore, just so we don't have to get too worked up. But I could easily see how a lot of people out there could, you wouldn't say you were vegan, I don't think, if you were like cheating a little bit or eating eggs and dairy, you would say vegetarian. How do you think of a carnivore diet semantically when somebody says they're on carnivore or they're off carnivore? How do you tend to define it?
Yeah, for me, carnivore is anything that is an animal or came from an animal. So any kind of meat, dairy, and then, of course, for some reason, coffee and spices get a free pass. But to me, carnivore is just eating an animal and anything that comes from it.
And then no coffee, no spices, no anything else.
I would say that. Yeah, I would include that because I do have
Okay.
coffee and I do have some spices here and there.
Okay. So again, by your definition, would you say that you're on the carnivore diet when you're having meat and coffee and spices?
Yes, and
Okay.
dairy.
Okay. Gotcha. And again, like when I say, okay, a hyper carnivore is like 75% of the calories or more from animal products, that leaves that 25% of wiggle room that kind of can captures, the coffee that I have, the spices that I have, a low, carbohydrate sauce that people can have. But I realize again, I think a lot of people out there think that everybody, if they're doing carnivore, they're doing the strictest version of carnivore. They're doing something like a lion diet or something where there's like literally zero plants any of the time, kind of a thing. And it sounds like yours is at least a little bit more open than that.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I don't think there's a lot of people that are actually strict lion diet. I think maybe if you're having like autoimmune issues and you need to do that at first and add things back in, but I think the majority of people eating a carnivore diet are probably having some dairy. I mean, I can only think of a few that are like, I would say so strict would be like Baker and Chafee, and just even like other people I talk to in the carnivore space. I think a lot of people kind of land around ketovore, or they try to be carnivore, but maybe they have some ketovore things that like slip in here and there. I think it's actually rare to have somebody be very strict.
Okay, gotcha. And some of the people that are making the biggest splash as far as like the quitting carnivore, um, I mean, we can't really say, we don't really know, but according to you and your understanding, do you suppose that they had also been on a similarly kind of stricter version of a carnivore diet for as long as they had?
Um, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's hard, and it's hard to tell like what people are really doing like off camera too. I mean, you're
Right.
showing us what you're eating, but what are you doing on the weekend? So, yeah, I'm trying to think of like the people who are off carnivore right now. Like, yeah, I think most of them were saying they were just regular carnivore with dairy and meat and stuff.
Okay, gotcha. And now I don't follow too many of these. So again, it's just an honest question. Are they actively promoting the idea that carnivore is not the best thing for everybody, or people can't do it long term? Are those two kind of messages that are being put out there?
I am seeing a lot of them say it's a good tool and to use it as an elimination diet, add things back in, but not necessarily recommending it as a forever thing. And then I'm seeing some people say that that is absolutely not the way to go, that we shouldn't be low carb or keto, that it should be high carb and low fat, which I feel like is so interesting because are we like full circle? Like I feel like we used to do that in the 90s, right? It was everything was 100-calorie snack packs. Like everything was low calorie, low fat and carbs. So I'm also confused how these people are doing like the pendulum swinging the other way. How are we going from carnivore, which is, a high amount of fat to 20 to 30 grams of fat and 2 to 400 grams of carbs. Like it's crazy to me.